Hi, Todd Pouliot, Gateway Financial, mygatewaymoney.com. Subscribers, appreciate you. Click that subscription button and thumbs up would be much appreciated. Got a very timely video for you today. I hope you really enjoy it. And it's about the thing that we're all talking about lately, and that is inflation. And it's been on everyone's mind, and we're wondering what we can do to take action. So with guidance, our clients will be able to explore ways to address high inflation and set their financial expectations appropriately. Get ahead and be better provided for thoughtful answers on this very challenging topic. We're going to talk about four main areas of inflation today on our checklist: the impact inflation may have on our clients' cash flow and budgeting, the effects of inflation on client assets, and solutions that may be considered to mitigate those effects, certain tax planning ideas that may be relevant to our clients in light of high inflation, and other miscellaneous areas that our clients' financial plan may be affected by high inflation. And as always, we're going to share our screen. Boy, today we just got the highest numbers for inflation since 1981. And I wish you were all with me back in November of last year when I was talking in front of a group discussing inflation and how I felt inflation was coming. Not to toot my own horn, but I was right, but that everyone else was wrong, because here we are. We've always had national debt. We've always had expansive government spending. All the things that usually cause inflation had just taken longer to get here. And here we are. So what do we do now that we have inflation? First, the very first step you want to look at is cash flow. Do you need to reassess your living expenses in light of high inflation? So when our clients work with us, they get their budget and it kind of flows through all the data, and we look at it and we say, do we need to account for personal expenses that have changed relative to the cost of inflation, and update your emergency fund? Whatever emergency fund you have between 3 or 6 months may need to be adjusted a little bit higher. Also, look for additional ways to save money. So elect annual payments versus monthly, buying staples and goods in bulk. So is it a Costco membership that may be saving you money? Toilet paper, we had the big run on that when the pandemic started, or things that don't perish, non-perishables. And also these annual payments versus monthly payments. Sometimes you will get a discount for signing up. Now, make sure it's not a subscription or something that you may want to cancel, but something that is always there with you that you can lock in for a year at a lower rate before those rate increases come. And any upcoming planned purchases that may be subject to a price increase. Now, we talked about housing. We've been talking about the price of lumber, but what happens if you already have a home, but you're planning on adding a deck? What is that perceived increase in the cost of lumber going to be? And consider accelerating purchases to potentially lock in a lower price. Can you write in your contract that you will accept some sort of increase with inflation, but only to a maximum amount in there? So a maximum of a 10% increase. Are you concerned about the ability of your earnings to keep up with higher inflation? Very few people get an annual COLA unless you're a federal government employee or the like, and you're not sure, am I going to get an 8% raise that matches inflation? Consider ways to increase your income. One example is to ask for a raise and doing that appropriately. Possibly looking and changing jobs that might offer you a signing bonus or a potential increase in salary. Developing a new skill. That is the biggest investment you can ever make, is developing a new skill. And pursue additional credentials, so further education as well. Also possibly a side hustle, or if you have a hobby, can it become an income source for you? If you're retired and you're concerned about your retirement income's ability to keep up with high inflation, be mindful. Unlike many other retirement income sources, Social Security benefits have a built-in cost of living adjustment, that COLA, that helps offset inflation. We had one of the largest ones in the year 2022, and we're already looking ahead to 2023 and what that may be. So consider that income being subject to COLA. Consider purchasing an annuity. Now, I'm not a huge fan of recommending annuities, but this might be something that might be a great reason to look at an annuity, changing or replacing an existing annuity. So increase income benefit as an inflation hedge. Increasing income option starts lower, but will eventually exceed the fixed income option. Now, there's some ways to make sure that that works out for you. It might be through purchasing a small life insurance policy for a very limited time, or some other ways of structuring your investments to make sure you can handle that inflationary period. Also, look at family health and longevity when making those elections and talking about annuities. Annuities are a very, very, very complex financial tool, and I see people buying them without understanding them. And secondly, and probably the bigger issue I have, is I see people selling them to clients that don't understand what they are. And by the way, when I generalize that annuity world, there are so many divisions within inside annuities, people forget. There's variable annuities, there's SPIAs, or a single premium immediate annuity. There's a lot of variables you need to work at. There's fixed annuities, there's fixed indexed annuities. There are so many different types of annuities out there. And some of them I prefer more than others because of the benefits they provide. And some of them have lower costs than others. But understanding how they're structured and how those mortality credits are generated, it's a very, very sophisticated investment vehicle. Make sure you understand them. And it's unfortunately many seniors get taken advantage with those annuities. Be aware of increased demands on portfolio withdrawals. This is one that I'm always very leery of already, but when you start withdrawing in a low interest rate environment, it becomes a bigger issue. But when you're withdrawing in a high inflationary environment, it can really get out of hand very quickly. Consider ways to reduce portfolio withdrawals by exploring other options for liquidity and or additional income if needed. Reverse mortgages, home equity line of credits, cash value life insurance can be another option. Again, two insurance products that I normally don't recommend to people, but these are instances where they are good. Security-backed line of credit can also be another one for you. Some of the rates on those security-backed line of credits are very inexpensive compared to the old LIBOR that we used to use. And then they're a little bit easier than a HELOC or a home equity line of credit. And we just want to make sure that that portfolio is not getting exhausted faster than it's growing. Assets and debt issues. Do you need to review your asset allocation in light of high inflation? Boy, I really hope you have a game plan already in place for, hey, if this situation comes up, what do I need to do? There's my favorite word. Be cognizant of the increased level of interest rate risk associated with high fixed income allocation during times of high inflation. Boy, that's a lot to swallow there, but high fixed income allocation. Do I own too many bonds? That's a great way of saying it. And what is the duration times during high inflation? So that allocation, am I in long bonds or short bonds? How are they going to be affected? Consider maintaining or increasing your exposure to equities if it's appropriate, and other asset classes that may be better positioned to keep up with inflation. There it is. Keep in mind, longer bond durations will be subject to higher volatility if interest rates rise. To mitigate some of that risk, consider allocating more towards shorter bond durations, but be mindful of differences in yield between short and long duration bonds. Another bond that we've been considering also are I bonds, and we're going to talk about that next. Concerned about fixed income portfolios, purchasing I bonds. Treasury inflation protected securities. I believe it's 9.6% right now that I bonds are paying. I don't know how much you're sitting on cash, or you can convert EE bonds into I bonds. We've sent that letter out to all of our clients on how to make that appropriate change. If you like that, reach out to us, and again, contact us at our website, mygatewaymoney.com. And those I bonds are unlike TIPS that have zero volatility. Be mindful of their holding period requirements, purchase limits, and early liquidation penalties. But once you know those things, it's very easy to figure out. Consider CDs. There's some 5 and 10 year that you can look at. I'm not into multi-year guaranteed annuities a whole lot, but there are advantages if you're sitting on cash and you need other ways to consider growing that balance sheet. Consider employing a fixed income asset, individual bonds, CD, and those multi-year guaranteed annuities, and laddering that strategy. It helps mitigate some of the interest rate risk. So laddering is buying a series of different years or lengths. So as the years go up, hopefully the percentage of interest rates goes up, and then you can withdraw out of the shorter ones, or as those convert or expire, you can invest again in a longer term beyond that. So time burden management of substantial purchase requirements that may come with such strategies. So be careful you are laying out a proper long-term plan. This is not a get-rich-fix scheme. It is a long-term planning strategy. The tortoise and the hare, that turtle wins that race every darn time. Slow and steady wins the race. All righty, continuing on. Do you need to review your cash holdings? Holding too much cash during high inflation, boy, you are almost guaranteed to lose money each and every day in a savings account with high inflation. Explore other options, high yield savings, checking accounts, and CDs, etc. Investing surplus cash as waiting for rates to rise before putting your cash to work may expose you to a market and timing risk. Don't try to time the market. That is the one thing I try to explain to people, that, the market's high, we should sell. We hear that for 5 years as the market goes up. Thank goodness you didn't sell. And then we hit the corrections and the bounce backs. Don't try to time the market. It's extremely hard. And the most important thing is you have to time it twice, and which makes it even near impossible. Do you need to review your debts? Very, very clearly. Here we go with one of my favorite words. Be cognizant of your variable interest rate debts. Understand how the rate is calculated and to what extent inflation may cause your rate to increase. If appropriate, consider paying down variable interest rate debts or refinance them to fixed rates, especially in mortgages. A lot of people were concerned about the mortgage rate going to 5%. I reminded them my first mortgage was 8.25%. To me, it feels more like normalization, but we've been through such a long period of low interest rates. Potentially locking those lower interest rates and expediting the process of financing any large upcoming purchases you had planned. Be mindful of any recent or anticipated price increases or interest rate changes. It's hard with that crystal ball. Sometimes it gets a little foggy. Tax issues. This is the big one we want to look at. Have your taxable accounts been experiencing increased levels of volatility due to high inflation? I would say almost everybody watching this video probably has had high volatility. Consider ways you might rebalance your portfolio at a reduced tax cost. Harvesting short-term losses, selling securities at reduced capital gains, but be mindful of your wash sale rules. Make sure you work with somebody who knows how to do these things. Call us up, we can help you. As well as the $3,000 ordinary income offset limit on capital losses. And that's why we work with a CPA, so we can have all this information taken care of. Taxes will erode your wealth faster than anything. Do you need to review your current and anticipated income tax brackets in lieu of the high inflation? I have a tax chart sitting right next to me. I look at it every day because we need to make sure we have everything appropriately figured out. Whether your income may have increased because you've asked for those raises or changed jobs or whatever has happened to a greater or lesser extent than marginal tax brackets, consider how that may impact your effective tax rate. Be mindful of certain tax strategies, such as favoring pre-tax or Roth contributions moving forward. I've been having that conversation for 2 years with our clients. I love that we put this out there so all of you can see this. Be cognizant of areas of the tax code that do not receive inflationary adjustments under the current law. Social Security taxability, the NIT tax, or Obamacare tax, the SALT limitations, and consider how that might impact certain strategies moving forward. Tax preparation with most CPAs is just looking backwards. Use somebody like us who's a tax planner that looks forward. Try to make a plan. It's not about paying the lowest taxes each and every year. It is about paying the least amount of tax over a lifetime. Paying your fair share is appropriate. Paying more than your fair share is on you. Make sure you utilize the rules in place to benefit yourself. Do you need to review any potential Roth conversion opportunities in light of high inflation? Consider whether periods of high inflation may present opportunities to convert some assets to Roth accounts at lower share prices. Let's say that you have a highly volatile allocation portfolio that was $1 million. You're down 20%. So you're at 800,000, and you can do some Roth conversion up to whatever appropriate amount you need. Let's say it's a $100,000 Roth conversion that you can do. Boy, you almost just got a 20% discount on your tax bill. It's wonderful, wonderful tax planning. Utilize these times of what people think are crises as an opportunity to plan for the future. So sometimes we need these corrections in the market, and we don't know where it's going to go, lower or higher. But if you feel that this is the appropriate time or the appropriate year, take advantage of those opportunities that are presented to you. Other people are doing it. Don't sit on the sideline. Take advantage of this. Other issues to consider. Are you reconsidering any of your financial goals? Have things changed? Is your risk tolerance changed in light of high inflation? Risk tolerance is, can I sleep at night knowing that the market has been in correction, or that inflation, that the price of beef or chicken or whatever is gone up? That can I sleep at night? Risk capacity is, can I afford those things? So be careful of financial goals in retirement and risk tolerance, and if they have changed. If they have, talk to us. Let us know that things have changed. My goals have changed. And that's why a good plan allows you to pivot. Somebody said a wonderful thing, and I wish I could quote them, but a financial plan is a picture. Financial planning is a movie. Wonderful quote. I wish I could remember who said that. That's why you always need to keep that plan updated. Do you need to reassess your life and disability insurance? You can't afford as much with the current disability or life insurance you have. So look at those living expenses, and disability insurance may be inadequate now. Review your ability to add or utilize any existing inflation and or benefit increase riders associated with your policies. So make sure you just review what you currently own. Do you need to reassess the coverage amounts for any other insurance? Homeowners, renters, auto, especially with the price of homes, how much they have gone up over the last 2 years. These are huge things that we need to figure out. The effects of inflation may have on a replacement cost of your vehicles. Some of you know that I got in a car accident recently, and I was worried, boy, I may have to replace my car. It may be totaled. It's not what the replacement of my existing vehicle was going to cost, since I buy used vehicles that have already had the depreciation taken out. It was what is going to be the replacement cost for me that had me worried. It wasn't the insurance check that I might have gotten. It was the replacement check I was going to have to write. So understand that's not only just a dollar amount financial planning spreadsheet, black and white. It's also an emotional thing you have to say to yourself. What are those needs going to do? Do you need to review your gifting and or estate plan in light of high inflation? So consider that, maybe I'm not going to have as much money to give at the end of life, or I might need more to live on now. And the existing plans are transferring assets to the next generation. So this has been the number one hottest topic: inflation, inflation, inflation. And what does that mean? and what's going on with the market. These are some ways to help out with those inflationary discussions. I hope you get that these are open conversations to have with your financial planner and somebody that you need to talk to about that will sit there and say, hey, I'm really worried about this part of inflation. And how do I adjust my plan? Again, a financial plan is a picture. Financial planning is a movie. It's constantly changing, constantly being interrupted by certain things. So again, thank you so much for coming back. We appreciate you always being here. And we want to just thank you for those subscribers and hitting that thumbs up button. We really appreciate it. And we'll keep bringing you updated videos on flow charts and checklists. And thanks. Have a great day.